This is the most common question my clients, people I speak to ask. And how do I know if this inner voice in me, which is guiding me or which is telling me something, is my intuition or it's actually my limiting belief? How do I know? How can I tell the difference? And I want to show you a powerful way to tell the difference. But before that, I want to teach you something and I want to show you how it really works. I hope you can see my whiteboard because I'm going to draw something here. The way it works is this diagram that I'm going to draw is the best way to understand this concept, whether it's your intuition, which is trying to guide you and steer in the right direction, or it's actually your limiting beliefs, which are trying to destroy the path you're going on and stopping you and holding you back. This is your mind and this is your body. The reason I've made your mind bigger is because mind is more powerful and everything starts in the mind. And there are two parts of your mind, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. This is your mind, this is your body, and then your mind is divided into two parts, conscious and subconscious. And in our subconscious mind, we have our self-concept. Our self-concept, it consists of thousands or millions of ideas that we hold about ourselves. How much money we earn, how do we dress, what is our weight, how do we think, how do we feel, how do we act, how do we behave, what is our attitude, what makes us angry, what doesn't make us angry, do we do things on time, are we procrastinating or not? Every single detail that you can think of is determined by our self-concept. Now what happens is, you have this dream here, right? And you are thinking about your dream in your conscious mind. You're thinking about your dream. And you're saying, oh, I would love to do this. And now you hear an inner voice, which nobody else can hear. You're hearing it, and is saying something. And you are not sure whether it's your intuition, whether you should do it, whether you shouldn't do it. Most of the time, we all have two conflicting voices, right? One voice is where we are a bit nervous, we're a bit scared, and the other voice is saying, go and do it. In that situation, that is our limitations, our limiting beliefs, our self-concept, because it's not aligned, it's stopping us, right? And our heart, our intuition is telling us, go and do it. This is the most important part. Now, one voice is positive and one voice is negative. Now the question is, if you know the difference, you can say, I know one voice is holding me back and one voice is saying, go and do it. Now, what happens? Which voice is going to win? Which voice is going to win? The voice which is the loudest and which you can hear more and which is controlling you. And who decides that? You will say, I decided. But I would argue, no, you wouldn't decide it. It's your self-concept that decides that. You can never outperform it. You cannot decide which voice is going to win. You cannot. Because what's going to happen is that your self-concept will give an order to your nervous system to alter your behavior until your results stay the same and you don't go after this dream. If your self-concept is not aligned, this voice is always going to win, even if you know it. How many times we say, I'm going to do this, and we don't do it? How many times we say, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to do the actions, I will work towards my goal. And when the alarm rings in the morning, who is that person who snoozes the alarm? That's our self-concept. It changes our nervous system, and our nervous system automatically lead us to do things which we don't want. See how powerfully our self-concept controls us? Even when you know these two voices distinctively and you know that one is saying go and do it and one is stopping you, if your self-concept is not aligned, every time this voice is going to win. Every single time. Because automatically your nervous system will change your behavior. How many times does that happen that we say, I will make sure that I go to gym. I will make sure that I wake up, and we end up not waking up. Something happens when the alarm rings. God knows what happens. Another question is, do you know today? Do you have the information, or do you know what steps you need to take? Or how can you do 1%, just 1% better than you're doing right now? Maybe you need to go to the gym. Maybe you need to follow a routine. Maybe you need to be more organized. Maybe you need to stop procrastinating. All those things we know. But there is a gap. There is a thing called knowing, and then there's a thing called doing. There's a huge gap between knowing and doing, and that's where the self-concept is. Every time that negative voice is going to win. But then there are situations when you don't know if the voice you're hearing right now, is it trying to hold you back, or is it trying to take you to where you need to go? Again, the question comes down to what is your self-concept? Because if you're focusing on your goal, then the voice you're going to hear, if your self-concept is aligned, will always take you where you need to go. Because that voice is coming from that program, that pattern that you have right now. Right? So one of a beautiful concept, which is quite big at the same time, is the way Bob Proctor used to call it. He used to call it terror barrier. What happens is, this is your mind, this is your body, and you like an idea. You said, today I'm going to take this action because I know this action will help me to get to my goal. I'm going to do something which I've never done. It's out of my comfort zone, but I know that that is what is required for me to achieve my dream. That could be one of the actions I can take. Now what's going to happen? Your self-concept is not aligned, right? And that's what controls us. Our mind controls us, right? Our subconscious mind controls us 96 to 98% of the time. The moment you try to do this, you will feel terrified. You will feel so nervous and so scared. That is the thing that happened with me. When I was doing my corporate job, I used to have meetings with CEOs of Microsoft, of big companies like Dell, HP, and Apple, like regional directors, marketing directors. And for me, that wasn't a big deal. I was used to doing it, so I would not even think about it being scary or difficult. But when I took a new identity and I was doing coaching business, when I started my business to coach people, and I would have discovery calls with normal people, not directors or CEOs, but people who have problem and they would love to have an advice, right? I was terrified in the beginning. And why was that? The reason wasn't because I couldn't do it. I could go and conduct huge meetings, seminars with directors, with leaders, with all those things. But I was taking a new identity. I was doing something which I haven't done before. And that may not be even as scary as the other thing you're doing. But if it's new, you will fight against your self-concept. And what is the secret? What is the secret sauce that can make this so smooth and nice? The secret sauce is become that person. Become that person today. Act like that person, walk like that person, talk like that person, live like that person. What person? The person who has already done your goal. You translate your vision into being. Instead of saying, oh, this is my dream, and you're looking at it and saying, I would love to do it one day, you say, this is who I am. I haven't got the results yet, but I'm that person. You can operate like that person today. You can act like that person today. You can feel like that person today. And the concept, a lot of people talk about act as if. I don't agree with that. It doesn't resonate with me, because you're not acting as if, you're not faking it, you're not pretending it, because the version of that person is already there within you. That person is already there. The only difference is that you haven't seen it yet. When I did the self-concept work for the first time, and I embodied that identity, I became her, I had a big aha moment. And I realized that I was her all this time. I was born her. I always was her. The only thing was that my awareness wasn't at that level, so I couldn't see her. I couldn't see that part of me. But when I started seeing her, I became her. That version is already there within you. You're not changing anything about you. All you're doing is you're stepping into that person. And when you step into that person, then the negative voice, you have positive, that's your intuition, but the negative voice is going to fade away, because now your self-concept is aligned. Conscious and your subconscious are talking the same language. I see this over and over again when people tell me, oh, my mind is there, but my heart is there. And I'm fighting between the two. What is that? Your heart is your subconscious mind, your emotional mind. That's why we feel from our heart. But that is actually our subconscious mind. That is our heart. Your heart is telling you something and your mind is telling you something else. When your self-concept is aligned, then negative just goes away and everything is positive with a nice flow. And that's when something magical happens. That's when something really magical happens. Let's see what happens. You become a clear channel for God, universe, higher power to operate through you. You become a clear channel because now there is nothing holding you back. So you desire what you want. You take on that identity, that self-concept. You become her. You feel into it and you take inspired action. It's almost like you are and you attract on that frequency because now you are operating on that frequency. So you attract whatever you need, all plots, plans, actions, circumstances, people, right opportunities, everything comes to you. And that's when you become a clear channel for God or universe to operate through you, for you to manifest your desire and really do it with flow and ease, in alignment, without any resistance or fighting it or forcing it. You just do it naturally. And that is the state we want to be. And that's when you are highly, highly intuitive. One of the things, what happens is the great things which I have experienced personally, and it's such a beautiful thing that your intuition becomes really sharp. You can pick a lot of things. Your intuition, even everyday life things, your intuition is almost like now you're tuned in. So now you're tuned into that frequency where your dream is. And that's why for you to pick up all the right things is easier because all those things are already there. But you can't see them because your brain is filtering it out. Your brain is filtering all the things out which are not in alignment with your self-concept. But when your self-concept is aligned, you have this dream, you become that person. That's mean you're attuned now. You have just plugged in. So now the things are going to flow through you and you are tuning into it. So your intuition is so fast. It's so sharpened that you can pick those things. You will have this feeling, oh, I would love to do this. I would love to try this. Based on what feels good, you will take inspired action and it becomes easy because all you're doing is you're following your joy, following your intuition, right? And that is where we want to be. When we are a clear channel for universe to operate through us, that is the magic. And that's when you exactly know when your intuition is talking to you. Sometimes I look back and I think, how did I like pick up that? I used to struggle with it. I used to ask these questions about Proctor all the time. When do I know my intuition is working? I want to work on my intuition. I want to do this. And when this phenomena happened, it happened magically. The key is not to focus just on intuition. The key is to elevate your self-concept. That's where the magic is. So